My name is Audrey Flood. I am a development manager at the Tiffin-Seneca Economic Partnership. And our job in the shortest nutshell is to assist businesses and support them in any way possible. And so one of the ways we're trying to do that right now in light of the current coronavirus crisis is to provide some webinars on various different topics. Everything from social media and marketing to we had the health commissioner on yesterday talking about health and sanitation to technology. So this is again just one in a series of many webinars. I will give you some more information on those at the very end when we wrap up. And then I will go ahead and let these three gentlemen introduce themselves and their kind of business or organizations that they're with. So Jake, you want to start off by introducing yourself and Buckeye IT?
Okay, sure. Jake Schaaf, Buckeye IT Services right here in Tiffin. We've been in town and doing stuff since 2004. I was by myself, 2007 formed the LLC, and been growing things since then. So we do IT consulting, IT management, managed services, and pretty much any kind of IT support from the walls in, and vendor liaison type thing. We'll take care of people that way.
Awesome, thanks, Jake. Okay, Jason, you want to introduce yourself next?
Sure, Jason McClaflin. I'm the owner and chief engineer at JEM Network Consulting. We started about 17 years ago, a little over. We are also a managed services provider. We do a lot of IT consulting for project work, IP telephone systems, enterprise class Wi-Fi point-to-point, or just basic in-house management. So whatever else comes our way.
Awesome. Okay, thanks, Jason. And Nick, you're up.
I'm Nick Consolo. I'm here representing Simple Cyber LLC. We do cybersecurity and cloud engineering, and also Bocohost, which is a web hosting and design company.
Awesome. Okay, thanks, guys. So again, I don't think I mentioned at the beginning, the topic of this particular webinar is technology tools for your business. So anything pertaining to what can help businesses during this time when they may have to be looking at different options than they normally do to keep their businesses running. So let's see, Jake, if you want to start out, if you have any general tips for businesses right now, anything that you feel is helpful to share that businesses should know about their technology options.
Well, there are a lot of options. You know, each of us here in this panel, a lot of us have experience with different tools, and like Jason had kind of mentioned earlier, you're using different people's tools at different times and different software packages. Talk to people that you know and get some real world advice and experience on what has and hasn't worked for them. We like, just for some examples, Microsoft Teams for communications. It works good for video. It works good for conferencing, file sharing, but in the same respect, Zoom is a good tool that we see a lot of people using, even with some of the negative press that they've received lately. Those are the big things people are using right now a lot. And the only other thing that I really want to push and make people aware of is just to kind of be vigilant in your, I guess, considering the emails that you get and the communications that you get from other people. You know, Nick has a little more experience on the security side of things, but watching for those links, those email attachments, just extra cautious right now because there are a lot of people trying to take advantage of the work from home push that everybody's obviously in. So making sure that it's really a link that you're expecting or an email attachment that you're expecting in its simplest form, to be cautious of that kind of stuff. So.
Awesome. Okay, thanks, Jake. Jason, any general tips you have for our businesses?
Jake hit the big ones. I think all of us are just trying to help people as they come to us, but I think he hit a really good spot where don't just take anyone's word for it. Our businesses are in the community and the surrounding area. We're here to support you. Call one of us. Reach out to somebody, get some good advice. You'll get it for free. I mean, I know Jake, he doesn't charge us because you're making a phone call to him. And same with us. I mean, let us help you. Let us at least steer you away from, there are so many scams going on right now. Whenever there's a crisis, there's a great upswell in innovation, but there's also a great upswell in security risk. So I would add another free tool that is available is 3CX offers a free, you can sign up, I think it's for at least a year, or even up to 3 years, you can get free web conferencing. So if you didn't want to go with the Zoom or the Office 365 platform, but a lot of those you can get for next to nothing. Zoom is free, so you don't have to necessarily break the bank. One of the encouragements, I think not to jump into the weeds of technology too deep, but VPNs, everybody kind of has been asking, hey, can we get a VPN? Can we get a VPN? There's a lot of hazards to VPNs as far as connecting your home network to the business network. I'd be very leery to encourage businesses to consider that and talk to somebody about the security ramifications of that. But there are a lot of free tools out there. There's a lot of ways to make this happen. I mean, I see a lot of people just using FaceTime to get things done. And if you have an Apple phone, it's a great way to get things done. So there's just a ton of tools to work remotely.
Okay, thanks, Jason. All right, Nick, what kind of tips do you have for our businesses?
So to kind of add onto that a little bit, Google Duo is cross-platform, very much like FaceTime. So knowing that a lot of people probably don't have acquired hardware at this point, having something that's cross-platform lets you use maybe your personal phone while the company is trying to get some equipment out to you. Cloud password managers are a great way to share credentials with people remotely, whereas in the office you might be able to just walk down the hall and communicate that, or you might have a spreadsheet or something on a file share. Something like 1Password is great for that. Having a Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive, something like that you trust who you're sharing it with is good. To kind of hop on the Zoom issues, all of these technology platforms, the security of them is under a lot of scrutiny. The key points to take away: if there's a Zoom session that doesn't have a password or a PIN code on it, I would be leery of that if you're talking confidential information. If it's just chit chat, obviously the risk there is not as significant, but do what you can to secure things. As far as the VPNs go, a lot of companies probably are testing their pandemic plans in real time now, and you've probably by now realized the successes and failures. There are hardware VPNs if you do have confidential information that you're trying to protect, like the Unify security gateways seem to be a very affordable entry-level VPN gateway. And Alphabet Company, the company that owns Google, has a open source VPN called Outline that you can install on a cloud server like DigitalOcean, and that way you could get everybody in the company connected securely. Obviously, reaching out to all the local network and computer service technicians to set up a more traditional VPN or assist you with setting up something virtually would be a great way secure your network at this point.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. At this point, I want to remind our participants, or say, I guess, that we want to have discussion and dialogue. If you have any questions or concerns or tips that you want to add, you can either use the button to raise your hand and we'll unmute you so that you can speak. You can type in the chat box or you can type in the question box, and we'll get things answered that way. So while we wait for anything like that to come through from our participants, I will ask a few questions that we've heard coming from businesses so far. What about options for hardware during this time? I know you all are more, I think, on the software side of things, but if people are looking to first try to get their employees connected by if someone doesn't have laptops or doesn't have a tablet or doesn't have the right kind of phones at home, what are people's options if they are still trying to get something like that set up for employees to work remotely?
Well, I'll kind of jump on ahead of that too. Like these guys have brought up the VPNs and the hardware thing. One question we've seen a lot are people forcing or moving their employees to the work from home, and employees have their own device. Oh yeah, I can just connect. Give me the VPN client. I'll put it on my laptop and I'll connect to the company network. That gives most of us ulcers to think about that stuff because we don't have the ability to know whether or not that endpoint and that device is secure. So if you're a business owner or you're an employee and you wonder why it's not a good idea to have that personal laptop connected via VPN to your network, think about putting a screen door on the front of your business and turning off the lights. I mean, it's really easy for that to be a weak point inside your building, inside your network and security. So at a minimum, if you're going to let somebody use a personal device, allow your IT people to put on their remote management, endpoint security, and just make sure the device is clean and secured and controlled in that respect. If you don't have devices or hardware, there are other companies that are out there doing it also. I'm sure Jason's probably doing it. I don't know if Nick's doing too much of the hardware, but we're doing like a laptop rental program where if you have people that need to work from home and you don't want to go out and buy 16 new laptops that for an affordable fee, there's a lot of places that say, hey, lease a laptop for 6 months or 4 months. It's secured. The people take it home, they set it up, they can connect to their network. And then when things are back to normal, the laptops go back to the owners and you're not out that capital expenditure. It takes it more to the OPEX line and a little more affordable, a little more controlled, and a lot more secure than allowing somebody to use a personal laptop.
Great, thanks. Yeah, do
Certainly,
you have any thoughts on the hardware options?
Yeah, I just want to flow in exactly what Jake was just saying, that when you connect a remote device via a VPN, unless you're controlling the traffic that's allowed to come across that, everything that they infect their home computer with, you can potentially infect your network with. And there are a ton. Barracuda has remote firewalling you can put on as a client. Their WatchGuard has a bunch of remote opportunities there. There's so many products. Each one of us could sit and just talk about products. But hardware challenges, there are some hardware challenges right now. We see a lot of it from Dell, Lenovo, and HP, our three primary suppliers, where certain models of laptops you can't get anymore because the supply chain coming from China has been directly interrupted because most of our CPUs come from there. So a lot of people are getting 8th gen or older CPUs, and that was a big tech drop there. So you would have to know what an 8th gen is, but basically everyone is just selling what they have on the shelves. And it can be hard to source that. So the people with gold right now are the suppliers with a bunch of stuff sitting on their shelf and they're ready to move. Unfortunately, it doesn't mean they've moved down on a lot of the pricing. So lease opportunities, I think, are great never doubt a business's ability to react to a crisis and see a business opportunity in dollars and cents either. It seems like a lot of our suppliers care a little less about making sure we're able to help our end user and a little bit more about making sure they make the money. So you got to watch that you're not getting price gouged a little bit too. If you're looking for large volume, it's obviously a lot easier to lease. If you're just looking to pick up a few laptops here and there, again, you might end up being, depending on how many employees you have, you might be more cost effective to still attempt to set up something like a remote desktop gateway server that can authenticate with multi-factor, which would be utterly secure, and then every computer has a remote desktop. So every Windows has that. So then you don't necessarily have to buy hardware. So it's just finding what your business solution can be best for your budgetary restraints. And we're all mentioning a lot of very technical things here, but I guess it all circles back to ask your IT guy. I'm sure Jake's well aware of this, and I'm not sure about Nick's where they mess around as far as some of the remote stuff, if it's just within security, or if they set up gateway servers or whatever. But there are other options other than you need to have a laptop, and there are ways to make things secure. So, but security it's funny how we're all talking about security so much, even almost to some degree more than we're talking about the ability to get somebody to work remotely. Because working remotely is not hard. Working remotely secure is. So just watch out. We are in a little bit, and I think it's going to echo well beyond the return to normal, is we're going to have a supply chain shortage in hardware probably for the next 2 to 3 months. So especially as it empties out, it's going to take them a while to get this ramped back up.
Nick?
So hardware-wise, I know webcams, monitors, a lot of things that people that weren't geared up to work from home need are back ordered through June at this point. That's not every model from every manufacturer, but some of the big manufacturers are having huge delays with that. So with that, the remote desktop is a great way to work around that as long as you are doing it right. So if you have a tablet, if you have a Chromebook or something that normally wouldn't facilitate business use, as long as you have a remote desktop, and that could be for your Microsoft remote desktop, VNC, hopefully you're using the Tight version or something more secure. No Machine is a free one that's pretty good. Moving into the cloud potentially for virtual desktops with Amazon Workspaces or VMware View are also good ways. Citrix has quite a few options as well. Anything that's allowing you to not connect something that you don't trust to your company network right now would always be preferred. If you are looking to learn to trust the personal devices, some tools out there that are affordable, Jump Cloud, if you're trying to set up Active Directory authentication and push policies down to Windows, Mac, Linux desktops. AutoMox is a patching solution that's cloud-based, so you can make sure that machines have encryption on, make sure that they're getting all the Windows updates and other third-party high-risk application updates. Let's see. I think that's pretty much it. Kind of tie into hardware or replacing hardware. Definitely, like an iPad or a Surface tablet are more than capable of running a good remote desktop solution right now.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I know since you guys live and breathe this every day, this might seem very basic to you, but for someone who's not as well versed in these type of things, this is all really good information. So I know I'm learning a lot and definitely have a lot to pass on to businesses. Looks like we don't have any specific questions from the crew that's listening yet so far. So I was gonna go in a little bit on and ask Nick, since you mentioned it, but if the other two have anything to throw in, that's great too. For people that do have either a work computer or something that they were able to bring home and have everything else set up, but they have not been able to access the webcam and all their Zoom calls are having to do over over call. Just at the very basic level, so you can buy an external camera, right, to connect to your computer, I believe. You want to talk about some options for that if someone already has a computer, a tablet, or something like that? How can they get that webcam capability to be able to do conference calls like this?
So it is possible that your corporation or whoever you're working for could have restricted your USB access. So take with a grain of salt what I'm going to say. If it is locked down, you may not be able to do this. But all that you need to do is go out to a retail store, hop online if you can't find something local potentially, and you'd find a USB or Bluetooth webcam. There are instructions and videos out there for how you can turn your mobile phone into a webcam if you need to. In any of those situations, it's pretty much just plug it in via USB so that you've got the power, and typically the data is transferred that way, but some of them are wirelessly over Bluetooth at this point too. You just want to, if you are plugging something into your work device, you want to make sure that you've got encryption on it and that you don't feel that there's a risk that you've picked up any malware before you're attaching it to that device.
Okay, thanks. Did either of you have anything to add to that topic before we move on?
Good luck finding a USB camera right now. At least we've been looking around for a couple different places and a couple different people, and they're hard to come by right now. So that's
Okay.
one of the points that they kind of brought up. I think Jason brought up earlier with the price gouging. Just kind of make sure that you're not paying really more than what you need to. You can get some on eBay, but your local Walmarts and Office Max and a lot of those places have pretty much been out of stock on any of the good reputable cameras, and you don't need to go pay $120 or $150 for a webcam. You should be able to pick up a decent one for that $20 to $30 range. So just kind of be careful on that end of it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so next thing I
The only
wanted
thing
to
I would
ask.
add there,
Yeah,
I
go
did want to
ahead.
add a small thing. If you end up taking your work computer home, or let's say you have a computer at home and you want to set it up, you don't necessarily have to have a monitor. You can interface that directly with a TV. Now that's something, you know, when people, because I know there's a lot of shortage of monitors as well, but you could always use your TV as your monitor. Or if you're stuck using a small laptop and you need multiple screens, you can convert your TV into your secondary screen. And I didn't know if we had talked about that or if that was going to make its way in here, or if this was a good time to inject that. But a lot of laptops have different interfaces and even cast options where you can get use your awesome big screen TV to use that as a secondary monitor as well.
That's great. Yeah. Any other thoughts on that topic of adding monitors or that kind of thing at home?
Well, just to circle back to the cameras quick, another thing, I'm sure everybody's seen somebody that has a YouTube channel or a Twitch stream at this point. You can also hook up, like if you have a DSLR camera, that could work. While the webcams are sold out, some of the cheaper security camera solutions, actually you can repurpose, or you could hook up your GoPro and utilize that potentially too.
Awesome.
Or Facebook portal, or some of the video systems that come with some of that. You can repurpose that for, you know, it makes a great webcam as well.
Okay, yeah, those are some really creative ideas. Awesome, guys, thanks. Okay, shifting focus a little bit, we have a lot of businesses that, especially the longer this goes on, are trying to transition into online business or online sales. If that was something that was either limited before or that they did not do before, we've had many businesses kind of exploring that area. Do y'all have any advice for if a business is very new to kind of e-commerce or trying to sell online? Any tips or advice for businesses on that topic? Let's see, Jason, do you want to go first on that one?
I was going to defer that question to Nick. Generally speaking, we avoid certain kinds of web. I can build you web servers till I'm blue in the face, but it's really not my wheelhouse to set up web commerce or e-commerce. The only thing I would say is, like everything else we say, find a reputable person to work with. And that's my best advice. Other than that, I'll ask Nick.
And I'll jump ahead of Nick also, because I'm going to say the same thing as Jason. No, we don't touch e-commerce. We push them off to somebody else. So Nick.
So with e-commerce, we can help you out. We use WooCommerce kind of as a base platform. Things that you want to make sure whoever you go with is looking out for. One, are they using SSL strong certificates? If they are not, run away as quickly as you can. Check out options like Square. A lot of your payment systems now do have online that you can transition to. Square, Spotify, Stripe. The security risks with e-commerce come down to the transaction, and solutions like Square and Stripe really remove that from you at a risk level. The other part is storing that customer data. So you just want to make sure that you're not storing credit card information locally. If you are a very big company and you need to do that, or you have an old POS system that requires you to keep it on file for X amount of days, some old restaurants run into that situation. You want to make sure that you're using full disk encryption on whatever device you're storing that information, and that you're restricting the access to only who needs the access to that.
Okay, thank you. That was definitely helpful as well. Let's see. Let's go a little bit more into, you've all suggested that there's a little bit of kind of risk right now with people trying out all these kind of technology tools that they might not be used to, as far as scams and risks of people trying to take advantage of you. You guys have all kind of brushed on that, but what are some tips people can use to avoid or to identify a scam, whether that be, is it coming over email? Are they, if they're searching online for different products or services, how can they identify and avoid those scam opportunities as best as possible? All right, I'm gonna pick Jake, you want to go first on this one?
Sure. So I guess the biggest thing when you're searching for stuff, I think people are less likely to come into an actual scam. The more that we see and hear about are directed scams, kind of like they'll get an email or you'll get a phone call. The biggest thing that I think and that we tell our clients, especially in anything that's financial related, the school districts we deal with have been targeted, some other businesses. Hey, I'm principal so-and-so, or I'm the CFO and I'm in this meeting, I need you to do a wire transfer. While that may be normal for a lot of those businesses, take the 2 minutes and pick up the phone and call the person for a voice verification. Hey, did you really want me to wire this money to you? Don't just take it for an email. And then especially with those links, If you get an email that's asking you to reset your Netflix password, or hey, FedEx has got a delivery that's coming in for you, click this link to verify it. Open up your browser, type in Netflix, go there directly, and then change your password. Don't always be clicking those links. But I think the biggest thing for me and what we've seen in the last 6 months, financial stuff, pick up the phone, call the other person, verify, you know the voice, verify whether or not they asked for it, and avoid that email chain back and forth.
Okay. Jason, any thoughts on that one? Jason, I think you might be on mute.
Yeah, I did. I tried to cover up my typing. Phishing is when someone comes after you, and that's really a lot of what Jake was talking about was phishing attacks. And he's right. You should only go after what you're searching for. If someone sends you an unsolicited email, I would always doubt it. Never trust anything that's sent to you. I think for some people that look at technology as, oh, I'm not familiar with it, it'd be no different than if I sent you something in the mail asking for you to send me money. You'd probably doubt it. Junk mail used to be what everybody got, and we all got so used to it, they switched. So the phishing attacks are way up right now. We're seeing that from our security vendors that manage that. You know, talk to your people. Talk to your people. Educate your fellow worker. Let them know what you're going to do, and then they won't be surprised when they get an email from you asking for something specific. I think our dependency on email, we're just going to have to kind of up our game a little bit in corporations, both small and large, that we're talking to each other and communicating and justifying what we're asking of people when they're working from home. And I think that'll help avoid a lot of the email scams. Obviously, what Jake said was 100% accurate. Whenever you're clicking on a link in an email, it's always suspect. But definitely watch out for phishing attacks, specifically related to the PPP loan. And I know this is way off topic to some degree, but right now that's the big thing. I get probably 15 emails from legitimate sources trying to ask me if I need help applying for the PPP loan. Now, I'm not sure how many attendees are just businesses or individuals, but most businesses are at least considering the payment protection plan loan that the federal government is offering to the SBA. I would encourage you, do not respond to any of these emails. Reach out to a local bank. If you're interested in looking for these things, that's a big scam. It really has gone through the roof in the last 10 days. Ever since the government announced that they were going to do it, everybody and their brother is sending out emails. So call a local bank and ask them, call your business bank and ask them if they'll work with you on your PPP loan. If not, talk to your CPA or accounting firm, but do not respond to an email, because as soon as you do, then it's game on for them.
Great tips. Yeah. Anything you want to add on that, Nick?
So as far as spam goes, we've been seeing a lot that are actually preying directly on the work at home. A lot of things saying like, hey, you left your webcam on last night or whatever, and I recorded it, and if you don't pay money, I'm going to send it to all of your contacts, for example, or something like that. So you can really tell attackers are seizing the opportunity. When it does come to email, if you're seeing weird characters in it, that's usually a given that it's a spam email. You can probably safely ignore that. Anytime that you're giving information out, like the PPP loan, for example, you do need to go to an online portal to submit, or to a bank. Always initiate the data entry. And by that, I mean, if you see an email that says from your bank, you know, your account's been compromised, click here to log in, do not click there. log into your bank and see if there's a notification in there. So always make sure that you are browsing to the address that you intend to go to. If you do make the mistake of clicking on a link, check in the web browser in the URL or the address bar and make sure that that matches, that it's reputable, and that the SSL certificate icon is there and valid. But you're always safer if you're the one initiating that data entry. So you're never going to be disserviced by typing something in yourself and verifying that that is a valid website that you're going to.
Really great tips there, Nick. Thank you for that. Definitely good to know, because I know we have had businesses coming to us saying that, you know, they're getting these emails offering for help, like you said, specifically on the PPL loan. So that's great to know to help steer businesses away from that. Okay, another question that has come up from some businesses, and again, reminder to our participants, if you have a question, raise your hand, type in the chat box, or type in the question box, and we will get those answered. So yeah, another question that has come up is people wondering if they already have certain types of technology tools that they use, but maybe there's something else they could be doing with them. For example, you know, say they use Microsoft already, or use Google already, or different systems like that that they might already have. What can they be doing creatively? Like we talked about, you already have a TV at home. Let's be creative and maybe you can use that, or different camera options. What are some other maybe software related tools that people may already be utilizing that they could be doing other things with that would be helpful that they may not have thought about during this time? Any of you want to jump in on that first? All right, Nick, go ahead.
So one thing that we run into a lot is collaboration issues. Almost all the solutions out there, be it the Google Suite, Office 365, iCloud, anytime that you have the ability to share a document, if you need to have secure communications, you can leverage that shared document to type things back and forth, and you know that it's restricted. Or store information, contact information, business contacts, etc. Specifically with Office 365, you've got OneNote that was built specifically for that purpose, and depending on what licensing you have, you may or may not have access to that. I do believe it's pretty available at this point. But also just note-taking personally. The Apple Notes, for example, is something that syncs to all of your devices. So things that you may have left in the office, think about what you had stored it on, and if you do have access to that. A lot of companies get in the habit of utilizing mobile devices as well as your physical desktops, and a lot of salespeople in particular are very mobile. So if you are looking for creative solutions, I always recommend talking to a salesperson, because they're usually finding both intended and completely unintended uses for things that do tend to actually help with collaboration quite a bit.
Awesome. Any thoughts from Jake or Jason?
Adobe makes a great platform, if you guys aren't using it already in your business, for collaborating with documents that need to be signed or secure. So that's another pretty affordable platform that can utilize the cloud. Yeah, that was probably going to be my greatest. And then I had a couple of questions too. I wanted to hear from these guys, but I don't want to take Jake's turn at this.
Yeah, that was called Bilby with a B?
Adobe.
Adobe. Oh, sorry. It just cut out a little bit when you said it. Adobe. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Jake, go ahead.
Kind of like what Nick said with sales guys, we deal a lot with K-12. If you have kids in your home ask them the unique ways they've found to communicate with Google Docs and the collaboration tools. We've caught many kids using a Google Doc as a chat session, and they go in there and type stuff and delete stuff and share pictures and back and forth. Yeah, teenagers know unique ways to use it too. So hit them up for better ideas than some of us might be able to have.
Good call. Okay. Yeah. Jason, if you have questions for the group, go ahead. Let's make it interactive.
I just thought with so many people using their home computers, and because security is an issue, and of course viruses are a large issue, what the team might recommend as far as free antivirus tools. It is amazing the number of people that don't actually have a quality antivirus on their machine at home. So I just thought I would interject that question.
Great question. Thoughts,
So
Nick or
from a attacker perspective, the Microsoft Defender right now is actually really tough to get malware around. They finally, I mean, it took them 20 years, but they have something that is very strong. There are a number of other tools out there that are good. I'll leave that to the people that probably resell those products to suggest those. On the Mac side, Avira's free antivirus solution is good. And then on your mobile devices, iPhones or iOS, you typically don't need malware protection. On Android, it's going to change. There's so many unreputable businesses trying to sell in that space. I would almost just run without one on Android because the likelihood of it being malicious. Now, that being said, there are a couple good solutions out there. Just make sure that you're vetting them before you're installing them.
Yeah, there's definitely multiple tools. Like Nick said, Defender's been a pretty good one. Sophos has a free home product. SentinelOne has a product that they're opening up for free for people right now. So even the big boys that typically you would think of as being enterprise class endpoint security platforms are available for free, at least for the next 60 or 90 days to throw something on there that's maybe better than nothing. But Windows Defender, I mean, it's definitely stepped up the game. And if you've got a Windows 10 computer, as long as you make sure your updates are on and you haven't disabled them for some reason, you're going to have something. So
Great. Okay, yeah, that was very helpful. All right, just another reminder, again, if any questions are out there, hopefully you can either do the hand raise or type in the question or chat box as we kind of wrap up here if there's anything else you'd like to hear from our panelists. But I would like to give each of you the opportunity to let us know if there are any businesses out there looking to dive in more and access either your services or products or talk to one of you more about what we discussed today. If you want to share your contact info, that would be helpful as well. So Jason, we'll start with you for this one.
You could go to our website, jemnc.com, or just send an email to jason@jemnc.com or sales. We're very easy to find. I did want to take this time to also mention multi-factor. I know we have 15 minutes before we go, and then everybody else can chime in on that too. It's a buzzword we hear a lot about, but it's huge right now, especially everybody's working remotely. Multi-factor, and I thought if we could demystify it for everyone just real quick for businesses that are wondering what it is and why it's important.
Yeah.
Multi-factor is that layer, and I'm sure we would all agree it's a key important layer to the new type of security we see in web-based products and in standard IT or remote use. Multi-factor is generally speaking going to be something that we put on our cell phone. That is an authentication app that goes with your password. It actually can be a number of other things like a key fob or whatever, but more often than not, especially now, it's going to be something we can get put on our cell phone. Most of those platforms are very reasonable. Some of them you can even get for free. Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator, Duo. But as your business looks at remote access on multiple levels, whether it's VPNs or gateway servers or whatever it is, consider multi-factor, because whatever security you put in place, it's only as strong as the weakest user's password. So if you do not have a strong password policy or don't force people to change it, you can think you're putting up a formidable fortress around your IT and protecting and doing what you need to do. But if you don't have multi-factor, you might be surprised how weak it really is. But multi-factor will require someone then to have a device to add to that authentication method. It's very simple to implement. I'm sure most of us here in this could easily tell you 3 or 4 ways to do it. But I wanted to at least mention it. It is an important aspect of the current security.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for that. That's something that I think a lot of people probably haven't thought about. That'll be very helpful. Okay, Jake, do you want to go next on either on that topic as well, or sharing your contact info?
I'll give you my contact info first. I mean, it's real easy. BuckeyeIT.com or Jake@BuckeyeIT.com. And Jason took the time to do exactly what I was going to do, show people the hardware keys that he was mentioning. I had them, I carry them with me all the time. You know, we do that internal audit kind of thing a lot, make sure all our employees have MFA, 2FA, multi-factor turned on all our accounts, and we're pushing it to all of our clients to make sure if you have it available, you are going to use it. We're not going to give you a choice. We'll train you and we'll help you do it, but do it. One of the big things, and to not have to take our word for it just because we may be trying to sell time or consulting, but Microsoft themselves have said that out of their Office 365 accounts, multi-factor authentication stops like 99.8% of account compromises by using the Microsoft Authenticator app on your phone. You know, it's real quick. You log in, you get an alert on your phone, like Jason said there. You tap a button to say, yes, this was really me. What that does is that prevents that person that hacks or gets your account from the dark web, logs in with a password, and you get a prompt on your phone, and that's not you logging in. You can click deny, and they're not getting in there. So yes, like Jason said, the multi-factor authentication is a must. I mean, that's like putting a pair of Rottweilers between your fence and your front door of your business. That nobody's going to get by that, or at least they're not going to. They shouldn't want to. So.
Great, thanks. Yeah, all right, Nick, you're up.
And if you can, a lot of vendors offer it for free. Like I think you can MFA to most of your bank accounts now, even your cell phone account. I think Verizon even offers it. But if you have a place where you can turn it on, do yourself a favor, turn it on.
Yes.
Great.
Sorry, Nick.
No, you're fine. So if you're looking for web hosting, web maintenance, or brand work, that would be Bocohost, BOCOHOST.com. And if you're looking for security consulting, auditing, offensive security, where we'll try to break in and kind of tell you how, and work with you to secure that, that would be simplecyberllc.com. And you can email me, nick@bocohost.com or nick@simplecyberllc.com. And with the multi-factor, Okta's solution that a lot of people are starting to utilize, it's a different kind of two-factor to some degree. A lot of the old token base, you actually have to put in a code. A lot of newer solutions are just kind of working off of those mobile notifications, and they're handling the tokenization in the background for you. So the other part of multi-factor, though, do not reuse your passwords. You should have one password for each site. Otherwise, every time that your password gets compromised on a website that is breached, your password everywhere is breached. So really find a password manager solution and start to use a single password for each point of authentication.
Great tips again. Okay, thank you. I'm gonna pause here and see if there are any, again, hand raises or questions that we can see from the crowd, which I don't see at the moment, but please feel free to stick that out there here as we're wrapping up. Okay, is there anything else you think that we need to address before we go that is helpful on tech tools for our businesses? Anything else?
I think like Jason said, reach out to any one of us if you have questions. Emails are quick and free. We'll answer those questions. We want people to have good advice or feel secure in their kind of stuff. So any one of us, I'm sure if they have questions, it's not going to be a sales pitch kind of thing. Get the information out there and get it right, because right now we're all from the same community. We don't want to see Seneca County or Tiffin business on the news like we have for some other counties and some other areas and stuff like that. So, ask the questions. Don't just go out there and try to find it on your own because you're worried about the funding and stuff being tight. So.
Yeah, thanks for that, Jake. Nick, you had something?
I would say one thing to keep in mind right now, number one, see how your pandemic plan failed or your disaster recovery or business continuity. If you had issues, make a note of that and work to address that in the future. None of us are going to get a real life test like this. Like, this has been a once in a life, generation type thing. It could be more frequent. We hope that it's not, but utilize and always learn from the test that you're given. The other thing, I just also recommend using this time if you are seeing a slowdown in any way. As soon as things do pick up, other people are preparing and ready to pounce. So use the lull to kind of bolster your security, your brand, anything that you need. So as soon as we do get back to business as normal, you're ready to go on all cylinders. And a couple other tools just to mention quick. Notes-wise, you've got like Evernote or Cherry Tree. These are things that let you sync between multiple devices or between people. Snagit or Greenshot for taking screenshots or video capture of things, so you can share that with your coworkers. And one solution that we've kind of come across recently, Prezi, is it's like a presentation, but you can actually speak over top of it, and you can let it run while you're in the background answering other questions from the people watching it. It's a really great way, since selling right now is kind of difficult, or presenting information in person. Anything that you can do so you're a little bit more alert and watching people's reaction or questions is always going to be helpful. Obviously, GoToMeeting, Zoom, all your typical web conferencing solutions offer some format of that, but the way that Prezi's doing it, I think, is kind of unique. So I'd recommend taking a look. That's all I've got.
Great, thanks, Nick. Jake, Jason, any closing thoughts?
I think you touched on something that's really important. You don't want to miss out on this opportunity to learn from your mistakes. As a company, and I know even as our company, we're constantly evaluating how we manage things. we don't want to miss out on this opportunity to get better at what we do. And if this uncovers, an area in our business or in your business where you realize, wow, we were really just not communicating as well as we thought we were, maybe there's a tool that's going to make that better. And the same with your customers, being able to stay in touch with them and, take this opportunity to implement things that you wouldn't have an opportunity to implement. I know from Jake and I's perspective as managed service providers, now's the time to do that update to your server, right? Now's the time to address that nagging problem you could never address because the office always has people in it. But also this teaches us that we can work remotely with just a few changes to how we do our daily business. And let's not forget, cell phones are a huge part of that. And so there's a lot of mobile device management opportunities here and some other things to look at as companies. But again, security, communicate. To me, that's the big takeaway from this is let's just get better at making sure we're sending the message that we want to send to people. And I wanted to mention too that we appreciate Seneca's effort in putting these things together so that there are some opportunities for voices to be heard, and hopefully some people will benefit from it.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, we want to thank the participants who joined us and also to our panelists for providing this value today. It's very helpful for our businesses and helpful for our organization as well as we are talking to businesses to be able to provide them with these type of answers. So thank you very much for your time today, everyone. And I will mention the next several upcoming webinars that we have. Our next webinar will be tomorrow afternoon, which is, social media and marketing at 3:30 tomorrow afternoon. Any questions pertaining to the current situation in that realm, we can go through there. Then on Friday, we're having financial resources and local banks, getting your questions answered about the different programs that are out there and loans and the PPPL that we talked about earlier. Then next week we have Rural Ag and Business featured on the 21st, Tuesday at 10 a.m. And next Wednesday, the 22nd at 6 p.m. we have Mental Health in Your Business. And then starting next Wednesday, the 22nd, we're also going to have a weekly local business forum that will continue weekly through the end of this crisis and potentially after, where we will just give businesses the opportunity to come in and share challenges or concerns or issues that they're facing and talk to other businesses, as well as allow our team to be able to provide resources based on what we're hearing from businesses. So help spread the word about these other opportunities to everyone. And we look forward to seeing you all perhaps at one of those. And again, thank you so much to our panelists for working with us today. So thank you, and we'll go ahead and end now.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.